Hare Krishna, Deena Bandhu Prabhu. Thank you so much for joining.
Pleasure.
Hare Krishna, Deena Bandhu Prabhu ke jai ho.
Who's that, Pradumna?
Hi, jai, Hari Bol, Prabhuji, how are you?
Hari. Very happy to see you.
Happy to see you, Prabhu. Welcome to the Baltimore ISKCON congregation.
All right.
How is Radha Shyam Sundar?
They're very beautiful, protecting us.
Right. So we want to start, Mohan Prabhu?
Sure, Deena Bandhu Prabhu. Any format that you want to start with, or should I just start with?
Just you give a little short introduction, and that's
sure.
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for everyone that has joined. Most of you already know this is Deena Bandhu Prabhu, a very senior disciple of Prabhupada and leader in Prabhupada's family. We have little short introduction. Deena Bandhu Prabhu joined Prabhupada's family in '69 in Boulder, Colorado.
Janmashtami Day.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Since then, Deena Bandhu Prabhu has helped Prabhupada's mission in North America in many places such as Portland, Dallas, and Miami, and also in South America, in Colombia, I believe.
Yes.
And then in the mid-'80s, Deena Bandhu Prabhu was called to Vrindavan in India, and he's been helping the mission there. Krishna Balaram and a lot of other areas in the associated place. One of the most valued service that he does is takes everyone around Vraj and also opens our eyes and our hearts to Krishna's eternal home. Along with that, he's also helped maintain and revamp a lot of the temples. One of the main ones is the Vrinda Devi temple in Nandagaon. And if you haven't been, please do go there, take darshan. It's one of the most serene places in Vraj that you'll be able to go. Chant nicely and connect to Vrinda Devi. And yeah, now he's not only sharing it with people in Vraj, but he's also going around the world. Well, before COVID, with everyone else around the world to try to get them to have some taste of Vraj Dham. So thank you again, Deena Bandhu Prabhu, for joining. And without further ado, please, Prabhu, go ahead and take it over. If everyone can keep the camera on, but put yourself on mute, please. That way we can engage. We can see Prabhu and he can see us, but we don't disturb the katha.
Hare Krishna. So we hope that you all had a very wonderful Janmashtami and Vyas Puja. And for us here today is Ekadasi. There's some echo coming. I don't know. I hear my voice in echo. I don't know how you solve that.
The echo is slight, but I think it's okay. I think you would have to try to reduce the volume on the computer at your end, if possible.
Don't have any other source.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll have to live with it, I guess.
You're listening yourself back?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe you want to try with just the microphone instead of headphone. And if somebody has a question, I can switch it back to the headphone.
Okay.
Yeah. So Prabhu, just Krishna Prabhu, I'm just switching his headphone to a mic so that he doesn't have to listen to anything. And I'm also in parallel in the call, so if somebody wants to interact or something, then we can switch back to the headphone. Is that okay, Prabhu?
That works for us.
Prabhu. Okay, just give me a minute then. I'll just turn off the video. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
So we'll be just waiting a couple minutes for Deena Bandhu Prabhu's audio to get fixed a little bit here, if that's okay with everyone. Another just thing, if you have any questions, please do put it in the chat box, so that way we can ask Prabhu at the end of the series, and that way we can make it a little bit more interactive. And if there's any questions before we get started, you can also ask them right now, so that way we can note them and then try to bring them up to Prabhu as we speak.
Hare Krishna, now we're back. So again, it is from Vrindavan Dham, we're hoping that you all had wonderful Janmashtami and Vyas Puja. And for us here in Braj, it's Ekadasi today. Yours was probably yesterday, but we're following Ekadasi today on this Independence Day of India. So today, and we're hoping that you're all safe and sound. We're somehow or other being protected. A few people have come positive, but so far we're negative. So you all know Trikalagya, I think. He's also got fever and his wife is in ICU right now. So you can please pray for Mother Tunga Vidya. Somehow they got a case of COVID, so please pray for her. She's in the ICU at this moment. So anyway, today we're going to go to Gokul without visa, without vaccine, without security check, and no reservation. Because just the last few days ago, we were celebrating Janmashtami. So now we'll talk about whatever happened right after Janmashtami. In fact, just a few days, probably this is the day. I haven't seen any evidence so far that tells exactly which day the Putana Leela happened, but that's the first Leela we're going to discuss, because that's the first Leela after Krishna's birth. So first we'll sing a very beautiful song that Prabhupada used to sing wherever he went in the world before his lectures. A beautiful song written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur that has pictures of, it makes a whole picture of Braj. If you listen carefully, Jamuna is there, Govardhan is there, the cowherd men are there, the cowherd gopis are there, everyone is there, and whole of Braj is there. So, Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadhari 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 Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadhari 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 Yasodanandana Brajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Sri Sri Radha Madhava Ki Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Dharati Svapadandiyam Adadana Srinandan Daivridam Yache Puna Puna Srimad Rupa Padam Bhujo Dulisyam Janma Janmani Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Pancha Kalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. So shortly after Krishna's birth, it was the annual time for the cowherds to go and pay their tax to Kans. So Nanda Maharaj, although he didn't want to meet Kans or anything, he went to pay his tax, but he was very anxious to meet his good friend Vasudev. So after paying his taxes, he went to the house of Vasudev. And Vasudev was overjoyed to have Nanda Maharaj there. And he began to inquire about Krishna and about his welfare. And they talked for some time. Then Vasudev expressed that you should not stay here any longer. You should immediately go back to Braj. There may be some disturbances. So on the way home, Nanda Maharaj was considering why Vasudev has said like that. But he's a very wise person, so he must know something. So he was considering like this within his mind. Meanwhile, there was one demon who was a servant of Kans named Putana. She was a type of witch called Kechari, who can take a branch of a tree and fly anywhere. And they suck the blood of children. Putana, Putana is my name. Eating little children is my game. So she could fly in the outer space, it describes. So she came to Braj, but she was a very powerful Rakshasi. So she changed her form into a very beautiful form with beautiful silken sari, with beautiful golden ornaments, a long flowing choti, and everything was very beautiful, a nicely beautiful flower garland of malati flowers. Everything was very exquisite. Even the Brishbasis could not understand that she was a Rakshasi. They all began to speculate. Somebody said, maybe Gauri has come, the wife of Lord Shiva. Somebody else said, no, 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 must be the Indrani, the wife of Lord Indra, come to see Nanda Lala. Somebody said, no, don't you see, she's holding a lotus flower. It must be Lakshmi, the consort of Lord Vishnu, has come to take darshan of Nanda's Lala. In this way, they all came to the conclusion that she was some special personality who'd come to take darshan of Krishna. And she was walking very slowly through the village, twirling her lotus flower, and nobody tried to stop her in any way. She got to the palace of Nanda Maharaj. Without even knocking the door, she entered the palace. And she went straight to the side of the cradle where Lord Krishna was lying in his bed. Now, acharyas have talked about this, that because somehow or other, a strange lady, without knocking, walks right into the house, walks over to Krishna, and Yasoda and Rohini were sitting there, they didn't do a thing. Because Yasoda, actually, she's so protective, even her best friends can't get darshan so easily. They come and says, oh, he just woke up, I have to feed him, you come after some time. Oh, I just fed him, I have to put him to rest, you come after some time. He just finished his rest, I have to bathe him, you come after. Even her best friends can't get darshan so easily. Now a strange woman, without even knocking the door, walks into the house, walks over to the cradle. Our acharyas have said it only mean that Krishna has expanded his yoga maya potency. Otherwise, even her best friends can't so easily take darshan. In fact, she's so beautiful that even Mother Yasoda got doubt. Am I the mother? Or is she the mother? Is she the mother? Or am I the mother? She got doubt. She's so beautiful. And Putana looked down and saw this child, and he saw the face of Putana and closed his eyes. Now, all our acharyas have written something about this. If we get into that, we'll be here all night. But I think probably he was thinking, what will the women livers think? He's the first demon that Krishna kills is a woman. So he closed his eyes. Oh my God, what's going to happen now? And she thought this child, she understood a little bit in her mind that maybe this child is something special. But Prabhupada explains that if somebody mistakes a rope, if a snake for a rope, if you think it's just a rope, then you die. So she mistook Krishna as a rope, but he was a snake who was getting ready to kill her. Now this is a very special lila that everybody gets to take part in. Because in Krishna book, Prabhupada explains that actually Krishna doesn't kill the demons. He only enjoys wonderful pastimes, loving pastimes with his devotees. All the killing is done by Mahavishnu. And Putana, she smeared on her breast a poison, even 10,000 elephants would be killed by this poison. And she smeared it all over her breast. So we know whenever there's poison, who do we call? Who's the poison buster? When there's poison, who do we call? Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva, he's also within Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everything exists within him. So he called Lord Shiva. So then she took that child on her lap and she pushed her nipple into his mouth. And Krishna, because he's just enjoying, he, actually first Lord Shiva, he came and he licked off all the poison. He licked off all the poison. So then Krishna, who just enjoys wonderful pastimes, he drank the milk. He is enjoying. And then Mahavishnu came. He began to suck out the life, the prana of Putana. And Putana began to scream, oh child, leave me! And she ran to the door and it appeared like she flew through the sky. But actually Krishna knew that when she dies, she'll expand into her original form. It's described in Krishna book 12 miles long. Or maybe it's 12 kilometers, I can't remember, it must be miles. Hmm? So he'll smash the whole of Gokul. So Krishna threw her through the fields. Hmm? In fact, if you're ever on Prikama and we're coming from Brahmandagat, where another interesting Leela took place, and we're headed towards Gokul, you'll see that all the land goes down and then goes back up again. Hmm? In fact, sometimes if there's flood and rainy season, that part of the road becomes under the Jamuna even. Hmm? And the Brishvasis have told that is the place in the fields where Putana fell. And we can see that some land is high and some land is low. Where one leg fell, that's down, and beside it is up, and in the middle, between the two legs, the land is up. And very strange scene is there. You can see. Hmm? So Putana fell there outside the village in the fields and assumed this ugly form. Mother Yasoda, she fainted away. And everyone in Gokul came running. Huh? And they saw Krishna was playing on the chest of Putana. Hmm? Her two legs were just like the banks of a river. Hmm? Her nostrils were like caves. Her two breasts were like the peaks of the mountain, and where Krishna was playing on her chest was like the summit before you go to the peak of the mountain. And Krishna was playing there. He was very smiling. He said, just see what I did. Huh? Everybody else was, huh? So she was so huge, they made a big string all the way up to Krishna, a whole line of people. Huh? And somebody grabbed Krishna and handed to the next, to the next, to the next. Finally, they put him into the lap of Mother Yasoda. Yeah? Mother Yasoda, she immediately regained her consciousness and she began to wail, oh, somehow in my old age, by the grace of the Almighty Lord, I got a child. Now by some offense, I almost lost that child to this demon, but the Almighty Lord Narayan has saved my child. Because nobody in Braj, this is a specific bhav of Braj, nobody understands Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They just love him. That Aishvarya has been taken away by Yogmaya. There's two Mayas. One is Mahamaya, who takes us away from Krishna to the point that we say there's no such thing as Krishna. Just like this fellow Stephen Hawking, he wrote so many, or Dawkins, whatever his name is, wrote so many books that God is a useless thing. That is Mahamaya. And Yogamaya, she also keeps us in illusion, but we forget about the power and opulence, Aishvarya of the Lord, and we just see him as our own little Lala. So Mother Yasoda she was just seeing him as her Lala, that, oh, Lord Narayan has saved my child. And then she began to chant all the names of Lord Vishnu, because it's described in the Shastra that wherever Lord Vishnu's name is chanted, then no demons, witches, Pisashchi, Bhoot, Pret, nobody can come to that place. So she chanted 12 names of Lord Vishnu. She bathed Krishna with cow dung and cow urine. These things are so wonderful that even the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even in our Abhishek, we use cow dung, we smear some cow dung on the Lord and we bathe him with cow urine. These things are so auspicious and so antiseptic. Even Krishna was bathed with these things. Then she took a switch made from the tail of a cow and began to sprinkle the dust raised by the hooves of the calves all around Krishna. Then she put him in her lap and very peacefully he began to drink milk. It means that as a child peacefully drinks milk, that he's out of danger. So then everyone was very happy. Meanwhile, Nanda Maharaj came back from Mathura and he was meditating on these words of Vasudeva. When he got there, he saw this huge form of Putana. Then he thought that Vasudeva must be a great mystic yogi, that he can see the future. He told me to go, not to tarry one more minute in Mathura and go back to Gokul. There may be disturbance. And then the cowmen, they took cow dung and logs and they chopped up the huge, horrible body of Putana and they set it on fire. Now, I don't know if you've ever been to the bank of the Jamuna where the Shmashan Ghat is. It doesn't smell very nice. If you've ever burned your hair, then you can get some idea what the smell is like. But surprising to everyone, this divine fragrance began to flow in all directions. Even up to the celestial planets, they were wondering, where is this divine smell coming from? But even though Putana had come to kill Krishna, because she was killed directly by the Lord, because she touched the body of the Lord, she immediately became free from all sinful activities, all sinful reactions. And her body had a divine fragrance. And everybody, all the cowherds were, where is this divine fragrance coming from? Like that. And our Sukadeva Goswami, he's astounded. So Putana came to kill Krishna, but because she offered a little milk, she got liberation. And Jiva Goswami explains not ordinary liberation, not like most of the other demons, but she was liberated all the way up to Golok. But she got a special type of, there's a type of, we know Sarupya, you take the form of the Lord, but here you take this type of Sarupya in Golok, you take the form of a devotee in Golok. So Jiva Goswami says, like a mother. Like a mother means a nurse. So because she offered some milk to Krishna, she got liberated to be a nurse. By her offense of trying to kill Krishna, she doesn't have any direct contact with Krishna. Very special. And our Sukadeva Goswami, hearing that Krishna gave her liberation, he is astounded. He said, that Putana came to kill Krishna with poison. And because she offered a little milk, Krishna promoted her to like a nurse in the spiritual sky. Sukadeva Goswami is amazed. He said, what will happen to those people who day and night are serving the Lord and chanting his holy name? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We can't even begin to imagine where they will go. If Putana got such a place, what is the destiny of those people that were chanting Hare Krishna under the instructions of Srila Prabhupada? We can't even imagine. And it's described in Brahma Vaivarta Purana and Garga Samhita that Putana in her previous life, well, one says, Brahma Vaivarta Purana says she was the daughter of Bali Maharaj. The Garga Samhita says she was the younger sister of Bali Maharaj. In any event, things can happen differently in different yugas. So her name was Ratnamala. And Ratnamala, when she saw Bamandev enter the yajna of her father, either her father or her brother, Bali Maharaj, she was so enchanted. This young Brahmin boy is so enchanting. And she was thinking within her heart, oh, why didn't I give birth to such a beautiful boy? If I had such a beautiful boy like this, with great pleasure, I would suckle him from my breast. She had this desire. So Krishna, in his smartphone, he noted it down. She had this desire. Then when she saw her brother or father, whichever you want to take, wrapped up by the snake ropes of Varuna and captured, and Lord Bamadev had covered the whole universe with 2 steps and captured her father like this, she became angry and said, yes, and if I had a child like this, I would kill him. I would smear poison on my breast and kill him. So therefore, she took birth as Putana. And our Bhakti Manoj Thakur, he has written several articles about the different meanings of the different demons of Krishna Lila. So Putana, she represents the false guru. She comes peering like she's giving nourishment, milk, but it's covered with poison. Just like the Mayavadis, they appears like they're giving us spiritual instruction, but actually they want to, their instruction is poison with this idea to kill the soul, to make the soul merge with the Lord means to kill the soul. Because the devotees, they consider that liberation and merging with the Lord, that is like hell. If we cannot see the beautiful lotus petal eyes of the Lord with his curly black hair and his beautiful color like an Indranila sapphire, then what is the use of that liberation? They consider it, the bliss of bhakti is like 1,000 times greater than this bliss of impersonal realization. So this false guru, that is Putana, and Krishna kills her and sucks out her life. So this is the first Leela after Krishna's birth. Then, after about 90 days, Krishna began to he was lying, because he's a little baby, little babies generally lie on their back. But then he began kicking his foot and trying to turn over. So there's a special sanskar, utan. When the child finally turns over on his belly, like that, there's a special sanskar called utan. So Mother Yasoda made a big arrangement. She invited so many Brahmins to give blessings to her son, because she thinks he's a little boy, that he's the one who's giving blessings to all of us. But she's calling the Brahmins to give blessing to him. And she was running around, so many guests were invited, so many ceremonies were going on. Suddenly she saw her child was sleepy. So she quickly ran to her bedroom and lay down with the child until he was sound asleep. Then in the courtyard, there was a shakat. Shakat means bullock cart. Big bullock cart was piled up with so many metal utensils and everything, but it was underneath there was nice shade. So she took a beautiful cradle and put the sleeping child underneath the cart and told the children playing nearby, you watch after him. Then she became busy seeing all her guests and giving charity to the Brahmins and so many things. Meanwhile, Krishna woke up, and we know as soon as child wakes up, he's hungry. And his cry, Krishna's lotus feet are just as soft as new leaves. The word they use is palav. In fact, in the springtime, you have seen in the temple of courtyard of Krishna Balaram Mandir, there's a beautiful tamal tree. And in springtime, the fresh new leaves, palav, come. And if you come sometime in the springtime, and you just, even ordinary times, they're still, but springtime is very special. They're so soft, you can't believe. Of course, it's a material thing, but we get some idea what is the touch of Krishna's fingers. I showed this to Umapati Maharaj one time, who was one of the very first devotees there in 26 Second, even before 26 Second Avenue. And he told me that Srila Prabhupada was the one who taught him how to put on tilak. Most of you probably don't even remember who was the first person who taught you how to do tilak. But he said Prabhupada's finger running up his forehead, cleaning out the heel mark, felt just like this tamal leaf. So Krishna's feet are so soft. But somehow or other, even though the cart was very tall, it was described, it was as big as a house. It was a huge cart and piled up with all kinds of heavy things. Krishna's tiny little foot, although it was out of reach, somehow his foot reached to the sakat and immediately smashed it, and it flew into the air and came down with a big crash. And the axle broke and the wheels broke off, the spokes broke, everything was broken, and there was a huge crash. But actually there was a demon who had no body, so he had entered, because ghosts, they try to enter somebody and take over. So he had entered into the body, the form of this Shakat, so he was known as Shakatasura. And his idea was that some moment, appropriate moment, he would kill Krishna. But Krishna, by his kick of his foot, he killed that demon. A huge crashing sound, everyone's attention was called, and everyone came running, and they couldn't understand how this huge cart had fallen down, and axle was broken. It took all the cowherd men, so many cowherd men, great difficulty to put it all right. And everybody was asking him. The children said, it wasn't his fault. He was hungry, so he was crying. His foot kicked the cart. Don't blame him. And all the elders were, what? Krishna, little Krishna's soft lotus petal foot kicked the cart and broke it like that? How is it possible? These little children, they're just talking all nonsense. Nobody could understand. Immediately, Mother Yasoda, she called all the Brahmins. They thought there must be some evil spirit or some evil planet. And the Brahmins should perform special yagyas to save Krishna. She doesn't know. Krishna is the one who's saving everyone. But she just loves her Krishna. She wants him to be safe in all respects. So, it's described this Trinarvat, this Sakatasura in his previous life, he was a king in Panjadesh. And he was enjoying in a lake with his 1,000 wives. And Durvasa Muni, who we know is always very famous for being very angry, he came by and the king was standing naked in the water. He didn't try to cover himself. So he cursed him that you will become without a body. And then he begged his forgiveness. He said, yes, you'll remain bodiless for 1,00,000 of years. But when Krishna touches you with his lotus feet, you will be liberated. And Ukach, I'm sure it's a funny translation from Bhakti Vinod. I couldn't understand it. Somehow he represents the useless burden of new and old habits. But Krishna kicks all those useless burdens away. Whatever that's supposed to mean, I don't know. I couldn't figure it out. So, about 100 days after Krishna's birth, one time Mother Yasoda was playing with her little Lala. And she was having so much fun. And Lala was enjoying, like the mothers, they like to take the child and throw them in the air and catch them. And the children laughing, and just imagine playing like that with Krishna. And then she was putting him on her lap and caressing him. Suddenly, he became very heavy as the whole universe. And Mother Yasoda was frightened. What is this? She couldn't bear his weight on her lap anymore. She put a little mat on the ground and set him on the ground. And then again, by the power of Yog Maya, because she could never leave her son alone, she went into the house to do some errands, leaving her son alone. But Krishna had understood that there was a demon named Trinarvata coming in the form of a whirlwind. And he was a very powerful whirlwind. And he didn't want Mother Yasoda to be outside and be harassed by Trinarvat. So he performed this whole leela of becoming heavy as the universe. So suddenly, great wind began to blow in Braj, and black clouds came, and the sky became almost dark like evening time. And dust began blowing everywhere. It began to get in our eyes, just like here in the late spring in Braj. Suddenly we see the whole western horizon. At the end of the spring, this wind begins to blow from the west called the Lu, very dry, hot wind. Suddenly we see all black clouds and we see lightning flashes, but it's still too far away to hear the thunder. And we see dust rising into the sky. Reddish streaks are there in the black as the dust is rising in the sky. And then suddenly the horizon keeps coming closer and closer as it eats up the horizon. And suddenly we're surrounded by dust and it's getting in our eyes, getting in our nose, getting between our teeth. We can't see anything. We have to run in the house. Even in the house, dust is coming. So like that, whole of Braj was covered with black clouds and this great wind and leaves and dust and everything were flying around and around. And that demon grabbed Lord Krishna and he went up into the air. Krishna wanted to enjoy a little flying in the air, just like sometimes we have dreams where we're flying in the air and we're enjoying like anything, flying over mountains and cities and so many things. I've had dreams like that. So Krishna wanted to enjoy like that. So he went up into the sky with his demon. And suddenly that demon, he wanted to kill Krishna and take him far away, but suddenly he kept going higher and higher. Suddenly Krishna again became very heavy, like the universe. And he tried to throw Krishna, but Krishna was holding onto his neck, holding onto his necklace, and holding onto his neck, and he wouldn't let go. And that demon was choking and choking Krishna, holding on his neck. And finally, he came crashing down on a slab of stone, but Krishna was on top of him, so he wasn't harmed. Bam! Meanwhile, Mother Yasoda, as soon as she saw the wind, she ran outside and she couldn't see anything. Nobody in Braj. Everyone ran to Mother Yasoda's house because everyone worries about Krishna. The strange thing has happened. They ran, they couldn't see anything. Dust was in their eyes, they couldn't see anything. Mother Yasoda fainted away. Finally, they saw this huge demon crashing down on this slab of stone with all his members of his body completely dislocated and blood flowing down. And Krishna was lying there on his chest unharmed. And again, they thought, oh, the Almighty Lord has saved our child from this huge demon. And they picked Krishna up and put him in Mother Yasoda's lap. And Mother Yasoda again came and she again called the Brahmins to chant mantras and to give protection to her child. In this way, Trinarvata was finished. Now, Trinarvat, just now I've forgotten what he was in his previous life. No, his previous life was, anyway, he represents the useless burden of and blindness of mental speculation. Whenever you meet two munis, they meet together, they just try to argue and argue. It's just like a dust storm. They forget the real purpose of life and just argue on silly points of each one trying to defeat the other and just losing the essence of life. They become blinded by all their arguments. But I've forgotten who he was in his previous life just now. Anyway, be that as it may. Now, one of my very favorite pastimes of Gokul. One time in Mathura, there lived a very, 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 very low caste lady. And in her youth, she lost her husband with no child and no one to look after her. So no way to support herself. She used to go to the wholesale market and buy some fruits and put them in a basket. And she'd go to the bank of the Jamuna. She would find old logs and somehow some abandoned rope. She would tie them together and get to the other side of the Jamuna from Mathura. And she would go from village to village with her basket on her head, calling out the names of her fruits. Kela, kela, banana, kela, kela, banana, apple, apple, save, save, apple, apple, save, save. Santra, santra, orange, orange, santre, santre, orange, orange. Time pass ke liye peanut, time pass ke liye peanut. Badam, badam. Am. She was chanting like this and selling her fruits every day. But as she wandered from village to village, every day she would hear that somewhere on this side, there's a village somewhere on this side of the river where there's a wonderful king named Nanda Maharaj with a beautiful wife named Yasoda. And Yasoda and Nanda Maharaj have a wonderful child who's so beautiful, like a lump of blue musk, with beautiful lotus petal eyes and curly black hair, and beautiful peacock feather. The more she heard about this fellow, the more she became anxious to see him. So every day she would get her wholesale fruits, she would get across the Jamuna, she would go from village to village, kela kela banana, kela kela banana. But every day she would hear about this boy. The more she heard about this boy, the more she became so attracted. Actually, it came to pass that she thought she was going through the village with her basket of fruit on her head, and she thought she was calling out the names of her fruit. She was calling out the names of Nandalala. Govinda Damodara Madhaveti, Govinda Damodara Madhaveti, Govinda Damodara Madhaveti, Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. She thought she was calling the names of her fruits, but she was calling the names of Nandalala. But somehow she never came to that particular village. Finally, she became so attached that if I don't see that boy, then what is the use of this life? Just by hearing. That's why we've dragged you all here. I guess it's morning time there, this morning. So you can hear about Krishna. So gradually by hearing about Krishna, you'll become attracted to him. Sukadeva Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit, they discussed this thing. Because the more the childhood pastimes of Krishna are evolving, Parikshit Maharaj is very ecstatic. He said, just by hearing these pastimes, I'm becoming joyful. And Sukadeva is saying, yes, by hearing about Krishna, all the inauspicious things in the heart are destroyed. It's so auspicious. So therefore, we've called you all this morning to come here and hear something about Krishna. So you'll become attracted. She thought, if I don't see this boy, then what is the use of my life? I'm going to give up my life. So that day, next day, she got some fruits from the wholesale market. She came to the bank of the Jamuna. There were some old banana trees there. Somehow she got some old rope and lashed them together. She got to the other side of the river, and she put her fruits in her basket, and she began to wander into the village of Gokul. And she thought she was calling out the names of her fruits, but she was calling out the names of Nandalala. Govinda Damodara Madhaveti, Govinda Damodara Madhaveti, Govinda Damodara Madhaveti, Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. She thought she was calling out the names of her fruit. She was calling the names of Nandalala. Now Nandalala was inside the palace. He suddenly heard somebody singing his names. So he went to the palace door and he looked outside. He saw the fruit lady was coming. And he saw how Nanda Maharaj, he never used money. Actually, I read an article that money was only invented 2,000 years ago. We're talking about 5,000 years ago. Before there was money, we used to use barter system. Somebody made something, somebody made something. We assisted one another and helped one another and cooperated with one another. Now we've invented money, and if somebody's got money, then tough luck for you. We don't care about anyone anymore. Now we get puffed up with our money. So he saw how Nanda Baba, he just used to barter. So he went to the grain bin with his tiny little lotus petal fingers. He grabbed a handful of grain. And he's just a little boy at this time. He doesn't know how to carry properly. It's all falling out through his fingers and the sides like this. Govinda Damodara Madhaveti, Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. He ran out to the doorway. And that lady, she saw this beautiful blackish boy like a blue lotus flower with beautiful lotus petal eyes, curly black hair, peacock feather, so delicate in every respect, so tiny, and so attractive. And she realized this is that boy. Hmm? And she said, "What do you want?" And he said, "Some fruit." She said, "What do you have?" And he opened up his tiny little hand, and almost all the grains were gone. Just a few little grains in the middle of his palm. And that lady put her basket down and sat on the ground. And she said, "Lala, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, Lala. I will give you so many fruits. I will give you so many fruits. You just do one thing. You come here, sit on my lap, and look into my eyes and say, Maya." And Krishna looked up the street. He looked down the street. He looked all around. Of course, Krishna doesn't care about caste, creed, color, anything of his devotees, as long as they love him. Huh? But still, he's playing the part of the king, the son of the king of Braj, Nanda Maharaj, Brajendra Nandan. Huh? Brajendra. Huh? So, what would people think if they see him sit in this low caste lady's lap? So he looked up the street. He looked down the street. He looked all around. Then he jumped into her lap and looked under his eyes and said, Maya. Then he jumped out of her lap. That lady, she was just seeing those two lotus petal eyes, staring into her eyes, echoing into the back of her mind. She was hearing that sweet little voice, Maya, Maya. Hmm? She took whatever fruit she had, she piled it up. She piled up so much fruit, Krishna couldn't even hold all that fruit. He's just a little boy. Huh? He's trying to balance all this, and he's just a little boy. He doesn't walk very properly. He's just toddling like this back into the palace. Govinda Damodara Madhaveti, Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. That lady, she picked up her basket on her head and walked back toward the Jamuna, and just remembering those two lotus petal eyes and that sweet little voice. When she got to the Jamuna, she said, my basket feels like it's so heavy. And she pulled it down and looked inside, and there was unlimited amounts of wealth. Diamonds as big as a fist, pearls, emeralds, topaz, gold, silver, diamonds, rubies, Indranila jewels. Unlimited wealth was in her basket. Govinda Damodara Madhaveti, Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. Unlimited wealth was there. But she just remembered those two lotus petal eyes and sweet little voice. And she thought, what is the use of all of this opulence? She threw that basket in the Jamuna and she began walking down the bank of the Jamuna chanting, Govinda Damodara Madhaveti, Govinda Damodara Madhaveti, Govinda Damodara Madhaveti, Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. She was dancing like a madwoman. Govinda Damodara Madhaveti, Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. She was never seen again. Govinda Damodara Madhaveti, Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. Somebody found the body and threw it to the fire. Govinda Damodara Madhaveti, Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. So maybe one day, by the mercy of the Vaishnavas, we'll also chant with so much love, that Krishna will come and look into our eyes. Govinda Damodara Madhaveti, Govinda Damodara Madhaveti, Govinda Damodara Madhaveti, Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. Hare Krishna. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity to serve you in this way, recounting the wonderful pastimes of the Lord so that we'll become attracted to Him. And maybe we'll also be able to chant with so much love like this fruit lady, that Krishna will also come and see us. As Prabhupada said, and when you chant Hare Krishna, Radha and Krishna go, oh, someone is chanting our name. And Prabhupada explains the trick is to chant with so much love and affection that Radha and Krishna go, oh, someone is chanting our name. Let us go and see who it is. Let us go and see who it is. So we have a few minutes. If there's any questions, we'll try to answer them. Just let us put in the earplug again a minute. Okay, I'm listening. Okay, I'm listening.
Anybody? Nobody has question. Look like Prabhuji. Monil Prabhu, Mahan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Very, very beautiful class, and I could really relish those pastimes which you narrated, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. I
You
have
have to
two
thank
questions.
Krishna. He's the one who made the pastimes.
I have two questions, Prabhuji. In the beginning, you mentioned that Vasudeva would go to Mathura to pay the taxes to Kamsa.
Nanda.
Nanda Maharaj would go to Mathura to pay the taxes to Kamsa. So my question was, when Krishna went to Mathura, when Akrura came and took him to Mathura, and then Nanda Maharaj went with him, and again he came back. After that, he did not go to Mathura to pay the taxes to Kamsa, just as an opportunity to go and also see Krishna.
I don't know. Srimad Bhagavatam only describes this one instance. I'm sure that it describes that it was an annual thing. So he must have gone a couple of times at least.
Okay.
I don't know any other pastime of Nanda going, but it seems like Prabhupada describes it as an annual event.
Okay.
Because it must be every year we have to pay our taxes. Prabhupada said, as sure as death and taxes.
Mm-hmm. I would just ask because they were so much in separation, away from Krishna. So he had one opportunity just to go and see Krishna also, like to pay the taxes. Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. And another one is the story of the fruit seller. Is there any story of her past birth also, like who she was and how she got this opportunity in this birth?
I've never seen, she wasn't a demon, so in Bhakti Vinod's article about the demons of Krishna Lila, she's not mentioned.
Okay. But yes, Krishna showers so much mercy on her. It's such a beautiful story.
Yes.
And you narrated it so beautifully, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, please give your association again. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I have a question regarding the demon Putana. Like, what revenge did the god take?
Huh?
Revenge. Like,
He killed
there
her.
was something related to past birth because of which God killed the Putana.
No, he killed her because she came to kill him. And she is killing so many children. That was her duty. I said in the beginning, Putana is my name. Eating little children is my game. She was going all over Braj because Kamsi wanted he heard when the girl child slipped out of his hand, she told that the child who will kill you has already been born somewhere else. So he was sending his men and women include in this instance. One thing is that I think that's the only woman demon that Krishna killed. All the rest were men. He learned his lesson one time.
Prabhuji, like, do you give classes on other days? Like, any medium through which we can connect with you?
Well, sometimes just like you invited me, somehow we were so tired after Vyas Puja and Jamashtami, we forgot to make some propaganda on Facebook. You just watch my page on Facebook, and sometimes we're getting invitations. I have one now I have to respond to.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Seems like this is a
Thank
new
you
way of preaching these days.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for your association.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Deena Bandhu Prabhu. Really, we enjoy your class and Janmashtami and all these
Oh,
holy
there's
days
our
are here.
Damodar. All right.
Haribol,
Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Very nice. Very
we are
nice.
going to miss you this year, Prabhuji. We cannot come in the Kartik this year over there. So,
Yeah, it's going to be strange this year. Let's see what happens.
I know. So please give us association like this.
Right, we
on
need
the Zoom.
more association, Prabhu.
All
A
right.
our nice Braj Kirtan.
And I need place to preach also, because
Right.
now
right.
there's nobody coming for Prikrama, so I'm just sitting here. So I'm very happy you gave me this opportunity to serve you all.
So you can do parikrama online like this.
Yes.
Yeah, we can. This is good, Prabhu. Right. On Zoom is very nice system we have nowadays. So everybody
Yeah.
can listen the Katha, Bhagavad Katha, Vraj Dham, Vraj Lila.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes we do it on Facebook Live also.
Okay.
Right.
So we'll listen.
So we're
on
finding
that,
out so many
Right.
mediums to get out.
Yeah. And
All
also
right.
we can hear some about Vrindakun pastime.
All right, some other time.
Right, right, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Bless us, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Hare
Jai
Krishna.
Radhe, Jai Radhe.
Srila Prabhupada
Ki
ki
Jai,
jai.
Jai.
Sri Vrindavan Dham ki jai.
His Holiness Deena Bandhu Prabhu ki Jai ho, Jai ho. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Jai. Jai.
Everyone themselves and turn on their videos and offer their, thankful, heartfelt thanks to Deena Bandhu Prabhu. That would be appreciated.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Dinabandhu.
so much, Prabhu.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for coming and giving such nice stuff. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhu.